Welcome, everybody. The NFL season is over, which means it's time to look forward to the NFL offseason, which includes mock drafts. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the New England Patriots and a 2023 NFL mock draft. As mentioned, we're going to be looking at the New England Patriots and a 2023 NFL mock draft today. They're a team that has a lot of picks. They're maybe not the same championship contender that they once were, but they still got Bill Belichick there. They're going to need a lot of things to be kind of fall in place for them over this offseason. Maybe that's a new quarterback. Maybe that's a couple of new pieces on defense. Maybe it's wide receivers, which has been kind of neglected for a while there in New England. But we're going to take a look here with the NFL Mock Draft Database Simulator. We're going to be using this one because the players who are in the draft are in this simulator. The ones who went back home to college are not in this simulator, which is good. You know, a good starting point to actually have the prospects who are in. Not every simulator has that, so we're going to stick it with this one. The other thing is we're going to be declining all trades, which is a very un-Patriots-like thing to do, but with these simulators, sometimes you can get some trades that are just not very realistic, we'll say. So we'll stick with the picks they have, make the picks they have, and go from there. So let's get it started with the New England Patriots. They are up with pick number 14 in this draft. As mentioned, their players will fall in this draft that just aren't going to fall. But we'll do the best to keep it somewhat realistic here for the Patriots. And again, we're going to reject all trades. This is an interesting spot because they have several players who have fallen who I think who could fit well. Christian Gonzalez, arguably the top corner in the class, him and Devin Witherspoon. He played at Colorado for a couple of years, went to Oregon, had a really good year, and kind of really boosted his stock. Joey Porter, a physical corner out of Penn State. Everyone should know his dad who played in the NFL for the Steelers. And then you got Quentin Johnston, the wide receiver out of TCU. He's my top receiver in this draft. You know, I'm going to say let's go with Christian Gonzalez in this one. They need corner. They also need wide receiver, but Bill Belichick is not a guy who takes wide receiver first round a lot, and he's missed on a couple. And Keel Harry's, you know, I don't know if they would do that, but Quentin Johnston would be a very good pick as well. But here you get Christian Gonzalez at corner. Can kind of help replace J.C. Jackson, who was not there last year, who played for the Chargers. But now you can kind of focus on getting a wide receiver in this deep wide receiver class. It's not the greatest at the top, but it does have some depth. But you do get one of the elite corners in the class, which I think is a good starting point here too. All right, we're going to see what round two kind of brings us here. I'm going to go KeShawn Ford out of LSU, a guy who was projected to be a first-round pick this year before the season started. Had a rough year, had some drops, had some off-the-field issues. But I would trust Bill Belichick to get this thing under control. He's a guy who could be a number one receiver in the NFL with some development and making sure he just focuses on football and hauls in passes, which, again, the drops were a big problem. I think he could be a successful player, and for that reason, I'm going to take him. We'll see. Some people will have him a bit lower on the boards because of character, because of the bad last year, but he's a good player who I think the Patriots could really benefit from having. All right, next up, we have pick number 76. Will McDonald is a little bit of an undersized edge rusher. Henry To'oTo'o, linebacker at Alabama. He's very good at stopping the run. I could see him being a pick and playing for the Patriots for 10 years to come. Jack Campbell, same way, good run stopper. Let's go with Henry To'oTo'o, the linebacker at Alabama. We know that the Patriots have the kind of that Alabama connection with Nick Saban. And he's a good player. He's maybe not going to be the greatest in coverage, but if he can stop the run, I think Bill Belichick will like that. They do have some good linebackers on the roster already, but they're always looking for more. And that sets us up for pick number 107. Now, one of the interesting things here is Devin McCourty has not decided on his retirement. He said he will decide in March, but you might want to get that replacement ready just in case. And for that reason, I'm going Jammie Robinson. He's a really good safety prospect out of Florida State. Some people thought he might go back because Florida State is a pretty good team this upcoming year. But he's a guy I think you can kind of mold. If McCourty is still there, you can kind of mold into a starting safety role. If you need to, I think you can maybe throw him in next year. It's not ideal, but if McCourty retires and a free agent isn't signed, he's a guy I think you can go play. All right, so next pick up, we got some other needs here. I would say interior offensive line. Cole Strange maybe wasn't the best. I would expect Isaiah Wynn to improve next year, so I don't know if I want to go tackle. So let's go Andrew Voorhees, the interior offensive lineman from USC. I think you can plug and play him at left guard if Strange does not perform next season or if that seems like it might be an issue. He's a guy who I think has looked pretty good on tape. a guy who many people thought that would be maybe a top first-round pick, second-round pick, but really didn't have the season many expected. I think that, in the middle rounds here, I think the Patriots can get some good value and maybe plug him right away and play. That takes us to pick 135. We have a couple picks coming up right back to back to back, so we're going to see how that goes. I'm going to go with Mike Morris, the defensive lineman out of Michigan. He's a guy who played on the edge for Michigan. He's a little bit big for an edge. I think he's coming in around 290. Maybe move him in, but we know that the Patriots like to have a complex defense and they have multiple fronts. He's a guy I think who can fit in. Really only produced his last season at Michigan, but that's something I think, he's a good athlete for his size. I think that maybe he can improve as a pro. All right, moving on to pick number 184. This is in the 6th round. We got a lot of 6th-round picks, so we're going to try to get some depth, maybe some I would say, some special teams players. And let's start off with Raheem Jarrett, another wide receiver. The Patriots have neglected wide receiver for so long. They can take a couple here, and I would not feel out of place. I think Raheem Jarrett was a guy who at Maryland, part of a good wide receiver trio, I believe, at Maryland. A couple of guys will be going pro. I think he can maybe be a special teams guy and then possibly work his way onto the field because there's not the greatest competition there. Next up, let's go with Ivan Pace Jr., another guy that I think the Patriots might like. He's not a traditional size for a linebacker, at least height-wise. He's like 6 foot. But he gets after the quarterback and just made plays at Cincinnati this past year. I think they're going to look past all the size and measurable things and might like him. He's a guy who can play special teams right away, and I think can contribute. Next one up, let's go with Keyonte Clark, the corner out of Louisville. Again, the Patriots don't have J.C. Jackson anymore. They don't have the greatest depth. Jalen Mills is playing outside corner. I'm not sure about that. It's just there's a lot of corners I think they can maybe take in this draft that can help them out. Ja'Cory Bennett's another one here at the top of the board. But Keyonte Clark, a guy who many thought would go higher, as I've said with some other guys in this draft, but maybe didn't have the greatest season. And we'll keep it moving with pick number 210. This is the second last pick here. Let's go Kieran Mitchell. The Patriots maybe don't have an obvious need at running back, but you're taking depth here this late in the draft. He's a guy who had a lot of touchdowns for ECU. He actually just got drafted by the USFL draft, but I think he's going to give the NFL a shot here, even if he's probably lower on the depth chart. Really good player for ECU. See if you can give him some depth here. And that'll take us to the last pick for the Patriots. As you can see, things are pretty slim. They're ranking kickers here. I typically do not take specialists to mock drafts. I don't have enough time to watch them per se, and even know what a specialist, this kick is good, this kick is bad. That's kind of my extent of what it might be. Let's go with Oshwan Mathis, the Nebraska player. I believe he transferred in from TCU. I expected to have a really good year, and like Nebraska, just did not have a good year. So that's a little bit rough, but you get another depth guy on the edge. But let's go over this mock draft for the Patriots. You get Christian Gonzalez. I think you need to improve that secondary next year, especially if Devin McCourty retires at safety. So get the corner that everyone maybe wants. And they typically don't go wide receiver first round. And when they do, it's maybe back end of the first round. So we'll go Gonzalez. He's a guy who I think can be very productive for them for the foreseeable future. KeShawn Ford, a guy people thought would go higher, first round pick, possibly maybe the first overall wide receiver before the season started, but just had an awful year. Had some drops. There's some off-the-field issues to look up. But again, Bill Belichick might be able to get the most out of him. Henry To'oTo'o, that Alabama-New England connection. He's a very good run stopper. I expect them to maybe try to develop him. Jamie Robinson, a pick in case Devin McCourty retires. Andrew Voorhees can maybe kind of push Cole Strange to be a little bit better. Mike Morris has that athletic size combo that I think the Patriots will find a way to get the most out of. Raheem Jarrett for wide receiver depth. Ivan Pace for maybe some special teams and some playmaking if he does develop. Keyonte Clark, another corner for depth. Just there's not much depth there at corner for the Patriots. Keyonte Mitchell, the running back out of East Carolina. Very good running back in terms of getting into the end zone. A guy who I just think gives you depth and maybe you can develop as you might have some guys leaving in the future. And Oshwan Mathis out of Nebraska, the TCU transfer. I like this draft for the Patriots. I do expect there to be a lot more trades going on. I could be convinced that a wide receiver might be the move for the Patriots in the first round, especially Quentin Johnston on the board. I would love to see that happen. I just don't know if it will with the Patriots and how they do things. But this also could be totally changed by free agency, by Devin McCourty's retirement. There's a lot of things that need to come to fruition here for the Patriots. So this is an early look at what it could be for the Patriots, but still a lot to be decided. This is my turn to remind everyone, if you like the video, to like and subscribe. We'll be coming out with more mock drafts until the NFL draft. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.